Are we finally getting a portable Xbox? Is this the Halo Infinite update we've been waiting for? And if you're calling out of work on Friday, well, you're not alone. My giveaway is also live. There's a link down in the description below with instructions on how you can win your very own Series X from me. Let's discuss. So gamers everywhere are super excited for this Friday, or in my case, if you're on Pacific Standard Time, this Thursday, for their chance to play From Software's latest title, Elden Ring. Elden Ring is already screaming Game of the Year for a lot of people out there, and it was voted most anticipated game 2 years in a row at the Game Awards, so the hype is real on this. The game, of course, is being directed by Hidetaka Miyazaki, who is most famously known for working on the Souls series, that's Dark Souls, Demon Souls, and it's being done in collaboration with George R.R. Martin, who wrote a little book series called Game of Thrones. I'm not sure if you've heard of him. Very rarely do we see great fiction writers from the East and the West collaborate on something like this, especially never video games, I feel like. First up is the Standard Edition, which comes with the base game. It also comes with an adventure guide, which is sort of like a basic strategy guide. And if you are familiar with games like this, From Software games, you know that is gonna be pretty helpful in the long run. It also comes with a bonus gesture, probably just some sort of emote. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe you, I don't know, flipping your sword around or something cool like that. Then you have the deluxe version, which comes with everything I just mentioned for the Standard Edition, but it also comes with an art book and the game's soundtrack, so you can listen to it, I don't know, when you're on the treadmill or something. And that's a pretty sweet deal, and if you don't understand the significance of that, talk to any Nintendo player. It is impossible to get their hands on any of their games' music when it comes to Nintendo. They also have a collector's edition out there somewhere, but that thing was sold out forever ago, so if you're looking for a collector's edition, good luck on that. I do find it super weird, it being so close to Elden Ring's release, that I'm not seeing so much of it being pushed on the Xbox dashboard in the Xbox Microsoft Store. Usually, like with Dying Light, they're saying, oh, jump into Dying Light 2 when you open up the store. There was a lot of advertisement when it came to Dying Light 2, and Elden Ring, not so much. I do find that a little bit curious. I, along with everyone that is on Pacific Standard Time, am gonna start playing at 9 p.m. on the 24th, this Thursday. Here's a little regional map that is super helpful. It tells you when you can expect to start playing the game in your region. You'll notice that PC players have a significant head start when it comes to playing this game. For example, I said I'm gonna be playing at 9 p.m. Thursday. PC players in my time zone are gonna start playing at 3 p.m. Hopefully that doesn't go to their heads. Usually PC players are super humble, so I don't think that'll be a problem. A couple days ago on the 19th, they also released an overview trailer for the game. And I gotta tell you guys, I have not been this excited to play a game in a really long time. This trailer got me super hyped for Thursday. So it gave you a brief context of the story. You are part of the Tarnished, and you are exploring the lands between, a dark fantasy world filled with all sorts of crazy monsters that used to be heroes of the land, and it just looks so cool. They talked a little bit about legacy dungeons, which are specialized areas and fortresses that I assume are gonna be a little bit more harder, a little bit more dangerous, probably have some crazy boss at the end, but have a lot of loot that will make it worth going through all that stuff. They showed off this ghost horse called Torrent, which he's gonna give Roach a run for his money when it comes to the greatest of all time in video game horses. He just looks really fun. You can summon him and he appears out of thin air. There seems to be a really awesome mounted combat component, and some of the traversal stuff that they were showing when it comes to the mount was really cool. They also showed off some of the crafting, weapons, gear, the abilities, and the abilities look super cool. There was one point where the player spawned this dragon's head and it spit fire out at this enemy. It was awesome. Long story short, I think this game is gonna go crazy. I think people are gonna be obsessed about it. They're gonna be talking about it for months and months on end. Maybe people will forget about Horizon Forbidden West, Dying Light 2. I don't know. A lot of people are excited about this game, and I'm one of those people. Halo Infinite is getting a mid-season update. They posted a series of things that they're going to be working on as part of this update that's being rolled out next week, and I just wanted to go through some of the things right here. So they start off, howdy y'all. It's time for another update. This week, we're taking a closer look at some things landing in next week's update, which is currently going through the certification process and is tracking towards a Thursday, February 24th release. This isn't a full list, blah, 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 blah. First thing they want to tackle is the networking issues that people are experiencing. A lot of people have been really mad about latency and desync issues, especially on PC side. I feel like people who play on PC, their game is always crashing. I have no idea why. It's a shame because I really like the game, but it's been a problem. They actually have a really helpful write-up within this post, Halo Infinite's online experience, that explains some of the issues that are going on right now and why they're occurring and what they're going to do to fix it. So a common experience right now for a lot of players, here, let me paint out the situation for you, okay? So you're running in Halo Infinite, you're getting shot, you make it behind a wall or some sort of cover, and you still die, which leads you to say, that guy shot me around a corner. That guy shot me through a wall. He must be one of those cheaters I've been hearing so much about. And they go into a lot of detail about this. Basically, this is a latency issue. They go in their posts and they explain that they favor, when it comes to latency, the shooter. So while you might be behind a wall, over on the shooter's perspective, there is a split second due to their latency and how the information travels between them back and forth from the server, that they see your hitbox still as you're diving behind the corner, giving them the chance to get those last couple shots in and kill you. It's a super frustrating thing, right? I can't remember another shooter that I've experienced this specific problem to this degree for this long. In terms of what 343 wants to do about it, they say, as of today, we've increased the priority of low pings to our servers and the matchmaking process. This step should help you match with local players and therefore have a better connection more often. As you get more of these local matches, instances of playing on further data centers will also decline. Hopefully these things that they're outlining when it comes to server problems, when it comes to latency, will work, because so far, I mean, I don't experience the problem enough for it to alter my enjoyment of the game, but it is still super frustrating when it pops up. Outside of that, this post is very vague when it talks about what they're gonna do. They talk a little bit about first-person animations, they talk about improving the campaign in terms of launching it from quick resume and other issues that you encounter. They again talk about stability and performance. They say that they're gonna make the radar distance, they're gonna expand it in big team battle. But outside of that big team battle radar fix, a lot of this stuff is very, very vague. They're not very specific when they're telling us what exactly they're gonna update in terms of these issues. When it comes to anti-cheat improvements, which is what has turned a lot of PC players off from the game, all they have to say about it is this. We mentioned this earlier in the year, but we wanted to touch on it again. There will be multiple improvements to our anti-cheat system in this update. We'll have even more to share about the anti-cheat in the near future. That's it, right? So, you know, there's not a lot to be really excited about here. And with Halo Infinite in the state that it's in, which is, it's a great game, the meat and potatoes are good, but there's a lot of annoying stuff that's accompanying it, right? Lack of maps, desync issues, performance issues on the server. There's a weird ranking system going on. They're gonna de-rank everyone one full rank, which I'm super disappointed about. I worked hard for my Diamond 2, dang it. Actually, I just rode the coattails of my friend who's an Onyx player, but we don't have to talk about that. Still, they really nailed it when it came to the base game, the gameplay, the core mechanics, and it is a little bit disappointing that this seasonal update, this mid-season update, is so vague. I feel like they could have done a better job with this. Like, I don't know what they're doing over there, right? The multiplayer launched in November, and the only updated playlist and game modes that we've seen are Fiesta and Cyber Showdown, Attrition, which are game modes that could have been in the base playlist package as is. A lot of people are expecting something big, something sexy, and then we get these patch notes that are just like bug fixes. What is that? There is a lot to be frustrated about if you're a Halo Infinite player. There's no roadmap, Forge has been delayed, campaign co-op has been delayed, but there is a silver lining in this, and that's this video, it is apparently a leak of some prototype footage from Halo Infinite's Forge. So the video takes place in this very large, open, meadow, grassy type area that you would find in Halo Infinite's campaign on Zeta Halo. And I gotta say, with all the stuff that they were working through, the customization seems pretty robust. There's a pretty long list of items that you can play around with. You can build whole Forerunner structures and things like that. In the video, it seems like you have a lot of control on how objects are placed on the Y, X, and Z axes, and you can even adjust the opacity of some objects and items and the colors. I could see a lot of crazy stuff being made as a result of this Forge. Around the 18-minute mark, he starts to load in some objects that seem to be like they're from some sort of snowy biome area. The textures seem like they're still super rough and early, but he's loading in things like glacial chunks, glacial stalactites, glacial spheres. It's kind of interesting, and I know a lot of people were kind of upset with Halo Infinite. There's no different biomes. I thought there was going to be a desert biome, you know, a ice biome, a rainy biome, things like that. And this could be a little bit of foreshadowing of what's to come. It doesn't look like, as of right now, there's going to be any terraforming or geoforming element in this, but there were a lot of terrain objects, if that makes sense. Terrain slope, a bunch of rocks, a bunch of boulders. So anything like outdoor environments, I still think can look pretty cool, judging on what we've seen from this video. Hopefully Forge comes sooner rather than later. It sounds silly, but a Forge mode could alleviate a lot of the frustrations that the player base has currently. Big Team Battle only has 2 maps. That is not very fun. Well, okay, let the players make their own maps and they can go crazy with it. So if Elden Ring is a lot of players' most anticipated game, the Steam Deck is a lot of gamers' most anticipated piece of hardware. Now, if you don't know what the Steam Deck is by now, it is basically a mobile gaming PC that is made by Valve. It's a really cool piece of tech, honestly, especially I feel like if you're new to PC gaming, if you've been on the fence and you've been wanting to get into PC gaming for a while, this is a great way for you to finally get into PC gaming, I feel like. You don't have to fuss with building a top-of-the-line rig. You don't have to go and fight someone over a graphics card, which are having massive shortages right now, and you don't have to be constantly updating your drivers and things like that. You just get the Steam Deck and you're good to go. And you can even put it in a docking mode, hook it up to your monitor, and put a mouse and keyboard on it and use it as a desktop. It'll also come in significantly cheaper than a lot of gaming PCs out there, so that's a huge plus as well. Phil Spencer actually has one of these, and he tweeted out, "Was at Valve Software this week talking with Scott, Eric, Gabe about Steam Deck. After having mine most of the week, I can say it's a really nice device. Games with me on the go, screen size, controls, all great. Playing Halo and Age feels good. xCloud works well. Congrats Steam Deck team." And since the Steam Deck is shipping out its first wave of units to excited gamers everywhere, it got me thinking of how this thing has the potential to be a portable Xbox. So I brought my friend Jimmy, who runs a channel called Deck Ready, to talk a little bit about it.
What's up, Ray? I was just checking out your set. It looks pretty similar to the one I shoot on.
Yeah, man, exposed brick. You should try it sometime.
Damn, that's good. I'll have to take some notes here. So, the Steam Deck is coming out this week, kind of. Like, you can order it this week, and then it ships on the 28th if you got the right pre-order, but for all intents and purposes, it comes out this week. We were talking about this one we 3D printed, and we immediately realized that this is basically a handheld Xbox.
Yeah, but holding it now, a lot of people are saying that it's like a Nintendo Switch, but it's a lot meatier, I would say, than a Nintendo Switch. It's a lot bigger than I thought it would be. Can you maybe explain what that would be in terms of the design? Is that intentional? What do you think?
So I think the size really comes down to the fact that there's like 2 mouse pads technically on it. Touch pads, but like they're for mouse clicking type input. You gotta pack in the RDNA 2 GPU, you gotta have the fan to cool it, obviously. You gotta pack in a big enough battery to power all these parts, the SSD. You can see like all of the stuff that is in a PC basically has to make its way into here, including a screen. So the size kind of makes sense. This thing is super light. It's like obviously just 3D printed plastic. I think obviously when it's heavier, my thoughts will change, but it seems like it feels really good in the hand. Like I have the Aya Neo next, and that thing does not feel as great. You held it too.
This feels really comfortable, I'm not gonna lie. And on Twitter, Phil Spencer said that he played Halo using the Steam Deck, which that's an obvious one, right? I could see a game like that working out really well on this. But he also says that Age of Empires works really well. Do you think that they replicated the mouse and keyboard experience with the Steam Deck controls to the point where you could use it with a game like Age, like an RTS like that?
Yeah, I definitely think that they'll end up going back and updating these games to be Steam Deck verified, which means it is legible on the screen if there's text. It has direct input from the Steam Deck's controls. There's like a whole little list that Valve has of things a game needs to do to be verified. And I would assume that the Xbox games will end up being verified just because there's so many people on the Steam Deck and those games are available on Steam. So yeah, if they're not verified yet, I'd imagine it won't take too long. The issue is the Game Pass on this thing's gonna be tough because you need to sideload Windows.
This runs Linux natively, right? Yeah. So do you think that Xbox, that there's any interest there in bringing a Game Pass app to the Steam Deck specifically, or?
I feel like they're probably on a wait and see kind of attitude with it, just to see how many of these things actually sell, because that's a lot of like work that they'd have to do to port over Game Pass that they probably don't want to do. But there always is the option, which I noticed in Phil Spencer's tweet. He was like, game streaming works great. That seemed to me like he was saying, yeah, you can stream your Game Pass games to this device, but
yeah, so it's like you might as well take that next step and like, but I don't know. Yeah, you're right. The wait and see thing is kind of like bringing a first-party Windows app to Linux operating system. That's just not something that happens, right?
Right. I mean, it could happen. There, of course, are like homebrewed applications. Like someone made EA's thing. I think it used to be called Origin, and they changed it to Play because they were like, everyone hates Origin, so we're just going to change the name and hope they start liking it. Someone made their own version of that for Linux, and I guess that works pretty well. But yeah, this thing, I think it has utility to have Game Pass on it because you could cross-save with your Xbox at home. It really could be a portable Xbox. We know Xbox is working with Razer on like a handheld device that's made for streaming, but having the games natively on here, I think is going to be the way to go. Now, some of them do support cross-save with Xbox on Steam, so you could buy like the Master Chief Collection on Steam and then play it and have your saves. But stuff like Halo Infinite, no cross-save unless you're talking about multiplayer. Forza Horizon 5, no cross-save at all. So they got to figure out some way. They got to like talk to each other or something.
Right,
like,
and it's already sort of weird because everyone knows that if you play an Xbox game on a PC, you still have to use your Xbox Live account if you're playing multiplayer games. So there's some aspects where it's like they're sort of mingling, but they're not quite there yet. I want them to go full on, like put Game Pass on this, make everything available. That would be sick. Do you think like they would partner up with Valve to maybe make like a Game Pass specific instead of Steam specific, or is that just too far?
I think that's wishful thinking, but not for the reason you might expect. Valve and Microsoft have a weird relationship where Valve does not like that Windows is the basically only gaming platform you have for PC. So that's why they're using Linux. They're saying, look, this is viable. And they said, right when they announced this new device, they were like, we want other PC manufacturers to make their own Steam Deck competitor. We're going to release SteamOS for free so they can like include it on their own devices. It seems like they're trying to create competition for Microsoft. So they're basically also on the other front strong-arming them into making Game Pass work on the device. They're playing a weird game here. But hopefully the competition makes Microsoft wake up and realize how much utility there is in a handheld PC. I mean, again, they make Windows, right? Like,
right. And people want a portable gaming device from Xbox, I feel like. There's all sorts of different controllers for your phone that are popping up. The market is there. I feel like people want this to happen. It's just something that they haven't really showed interest in a long time.
Yeah, Microsoft can come in with the same type of device made by Microsoft with the Xbox branding and get that $400 price point with similar performance. I think that's a win right there. I gotta take this thing because I gotta record a video for my channel on it. So yeah, if you want to get some updates on the Steam Deck, check out Deck Ready on YouTube. Thanks for having me over here, Ray.
Yeah, man, thanks for coming.
I'm gonna go back to my identical set now. That is not the same set. Goodbye.
Anyway, guys, that's all the news I have for today. I would very much appreciate it if you went on over to Twitter and followed me at StayXboxReady. My giveaway is also live. There's a link down in the description below with instructions on how you can win your very own Series X from me. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you in the next video.